I'm going to show a build sequence for a certain kind of bottle design. This is very common and it's used quite a bit. It's basically allowing us to have a unique profile, which is the outside edge of this bottle. And then what we're doing is we're going to create a ruled surface on the front and the back, and then we're going to loft front to back to create the rest of our bottle and determine our exact volume. This is a good technique because it gives us full label area on the front and the back, and then it gives us the compound curves on the side, which are very easy to pull out of the mold. So it has some benefits, and that's why it's used so prevalently. We've probably seen tons of bottles that are designed like this. So let's go back to the lines, and I'll show how this is built. So here's my profile. I have the outside line here, and then I have the inside line. The inside line represents what that ruled surface will look like in the front. So we need to go to the front view and take a look at this. Here are our lines. These lines are all separate. I created them independently, and I'm going to radius these corners afterwards. I could radius them now, but I kind of want to leave myself the ability to make decisions on how big those radiuses are after I build the solid. So I'm going to leave them off for now and just use these as lines. So building these lines takes a little practice. I'm just going to go to the curve tools. There's a whole series of spline tools and different ways of drawing it. So let's review this quickly. I'm just going to grab one of these spline tools because that's how I made this one. And you can see I'm snapping to the bottom. So you can snap to your grid, or I have a line down here already, and I'm going to just make sure I snap to that. All of these lines are on that surface down there, because when I start lofting and making my parts, I want them perfectly square. This is very important that you line those up. If it's slightly off, it will not work. So I'm making sure I snap, and I'm drawing this line again to show you how this works. I have orthographics off, so I'm just going to lean in like this a little bit, and I'm going to come over here and just kind of curve over to the side. So that's very similar to the line I just drew. Takes a little time. You can practice and move it around and see what works for you. So I'm going to click once, and I can continue manipulating this line and keep clicking and make more contours. But if I like that curve, I'm just going to right click and it terminates any additional adjustments there. And if I select that, the handles come up. So you can now take it and make further adjustments. If I want to make it a little curvier or whatever I want to do with that, I can make those kinds of adjustments. So that's basically how to use a lot of these tools. But again, it takes practice, and you have to get used to which tool does what and how it works. So what I want to do is take these three lines that I've created here in the center, and I want to connect them so they're all one series of lines. So up here we have the connect tool. I'm going to select that, and I'm going to select this first line, and I'm going to select the next line. So those should be connected. It's going to go back to my pointer, and now those two are connected. And I'll just do the same thing for the third line. Go to the connect tool. I'm going to select this line, and then I'm going to select that line. And just to double check that I have it, I have all three connected now. So that's good. The outside lines, we don't need to connect them, and you'll see how that works as we move along. So now I have this other curved line on the bottom here. That's going to represent that curved surface on the front. It's a ruled surface. A ruled surface means it's only curving in one axis. It's not a compound curve. And that's very significant with bottle design, because that allows us to put PSL labels, which are pressure-sensitive labels. It's like sticking a piece of paper on the bottle. And you can't wrap paper or a label around a compound curve. It needs to be curved in one direction. So that's one reason why we're doing this. So the entire front of the bottle and the back of the bottle, a label can be applied to it. That's why this is such a popular way of building a bottle. So I'm going to create this ruled surface by selecting this curve. This curve is symmetrical and it's on center. It's a pretty subtle curve that can vary. They can be a little steeper or a little less. It's kind of an aesthetic decision, and volumetrics too. So I'm going to select that curve. I'm going to go up to my commands, and I'm just going to put in extrude. And this extrude CRV, I'm not even sure what that means. That's going to come on. And then all of a sudden, this panel is going to extrude up. So it's going to move this down a little bit so I can see. So I'm just going up and down. It's going perpendicular to my control plane, which is this grid on the bottom. So that's why this is going straight up and it's locking to that, which is what I want. So I'm just arbitrarily picking a decision because I'm going to trim out of that. So I have that selected and I'm going to go to my front view and it's up there, but I'm going to trim out with that line that I had just created. So to do that, we're going to use the split tool. I'm going to select the split tool. I'm just going to select, oh, let me deselect that bottom. Why is that still lit? Here we go. I'm going to go to the split tool, and select right in the middle. So now I have that purple color is my select color. I had changed that from the yellow. So I have that selected and I'm going to press enter. And now I want to select this line that I want to trim with. And I press enter and it has done it. So now you can see this cut edge is on this front surface. I'm going to delete this extra part that I'm not going to use. And there is the front surface of my bottle. So that's perfect. Everything lines up. I'm going to select that and look at this from the top view. And I'm going to mirror this to the other side. Again, I'm snapping right to the center point, which is the center of my bottle, and it's the center of my environment. And I'm just going to snap over to that line over to this side. So now I have mirrored over that surface to that side. So we're all set there. Now I'm going to loft front to back, these sides and the top. So let's go up to our commands and I'm going to put in loft. And all I have to do is select that edge of the front panel. I'm going to select this profile edge in the center. And then I'm going to select that other edge on the back surface. So I have those three selected and I'm going to press enter. So now I have a nice clean surface and it's curving front to back. These hard edges that I'm creating, I'm going to radius these after I make my solid. So that curve is very nice. Blends in with the front and the back, and it's because I'm lining these three surfaces to create that nice curve. That curve gives us an integrated kind of a draft angle. It's a nice soft shape to hold, but it comes out of the mold easy right from our center line. So that works really well. So there's a couple things I can do. I can go to the other side and loft it, or I can just mirror this over. So I'm going to select that, go back to my front view, go to the mirror tool, and I have it on copy. Got to make sure we put in some of these extra notes here. So copy, because I want to keep that one. So I'm snapping right. So I'm snapping right down to the middle here. And it's telling me midpoint intersection. Very critical. And I'm just going to go straight up and snap to the top here. So now I know that's perfectly aligned on that side because this is a very symmetrical bottle. They don't have to be symmetrical. You can do them non-symmetrical. You just change some of the behavior that you use to make it. So there it is. Now all we have to do is the top. So we're going to go back to loft. Select that, and the same thing. I'm going to select that front edge, the center, which is this one that's a little taller, and that back edge, and enter. Well, these are just some additional options, which we don't need at this point. This is a pretty simple lofting process. So now I have that nice top. That's symmetrical left to right. So now we have all these surfaces except for the bottom. So let's bring selected all these surfaces. I'm just going to move one copy. I'm going to change this to another layer so I can keep track of these different steps. So I'm going to move one copy. And I'm just going to move it this way. And I'm just going to right click. So now I have these both set up. I want to take this one over here on the left and I want to change its layer to surfaces. I'm going to highlight that, go to my little hammer, change object layer. And I'm just going to look to the front view because I want to make sure I put this back on center. So I'm just going to, let's do this from the top. I think that'll be easier. move. I guess I could just do it from the corner like this, like that. Okay, so those two objects are right on top of one another, so I'm just going to deselect that. So now we have the surfaces here. So I'm going to see if I can close the bottom before I stitch this. I'm just going to try this and see if this works. See, these are all independent surfaces, so I need to stitch these all together. So let's see if I can use this tool, surface tool. I want to create that bottom, so I'm going to select this tool, surface from planar curves, and this should work. Huh. So I'm selecting these curves, 4 of them, enter. All right, so now I just built that bottom area. So now I have surfaces in all these locations. So now if I just attach all of these, I will have a solid. So I'm going to select all of them, and I'm going to go to this tool right here. It's called join, looks like 2 puzzle pieces. And I just click on the tool. And now this is all connected, including the bottom. So if we go to our properties, close solid poly surface, which is what we want. And then we need fillet edge, which allows us to select lines. So I'm going to select this line. Shift and select that line. And I believe chain edges were good. So now I'm going to enter. And it's all set up. And now we need to do our control points. So what they do is they make you select the first control point, which is out here, and enter. All of these should work together because they're chained. I'm going to select this inside one and move this around to create this particular radius. I think I'm about in here, about an inch or so. This, and I'm going to press enter. So now I have that entire radius all the way on both sides. So that's good. So the next one is these edges around the front surface here. So we're going to go back to our fillet tool. All right, fillet edges. And the first command is to select the edges, but I want to select all of these. So I'm going to use chain edges. And it says select one of the curves in the chain. So that means if I select this curve, it will determine that all of these are connected. So now I have a chain of edges ready to go. So I'm going to select enter. And I'm going to select enter again. And what I want to do is, see, select first handle, but I want to put in this command here where it says link handles. So I have just turned that to yes. So I have these 2 handle sets down here at the bottom. So now they should work together. So when I select my first handle, which is going to be out here, I'm going to select that. I believe enter. So now these are both going to work together. So I'm going to select this inside handle, and I'm going to put that out at about, let's see, 3/8 or so. So let's do 3/6/8. So you see they're both the same now because I had those linked. So now all I have to do is press enter. And I have radiused that whole front edge there. That looks pretty good. So I'm just going to do the same thing on the other side. So we're going to go back to fillet, fillet edges. I'm going to go to chain edges. So I'm going to select this one. So now I have that all selected, enter, and then enter again. And then I'm going to go to link handles. It's already on yes since I had set that up. So it saves that. So that's good. And I'm going to select this first handle, which is out here. So I'm going to see if I can go right to this handle here. I don't think I can. So I'm going to do enter. And I'm going to select this handle. I'm going to move this out. I believe I did it at, it's about 375. So now these are both the same. Enter. And it has now radiused that. Okay. So that looks good. So now I have that radius front and back. So the only other radius I need to do is around the bottom. So this will also be under the fillet tool. The fillet edge. Now this is definitely a chain, so we can use the same chain command. So I'm going to click on chain. It says select curve in the chain. So I should be able to select this. So that whole edge has now been selected. I'm just going to turn this a little bit so I can see it. And it's select. Okay, so we have that. So now I'm going to do enter. So all these points are coming up. So let's just select enter again. So now we're down to this one. So now it's all linked and we have this one command here. And link handles right here is still on yes. So all we have to do is select the outside handle, enter, and then I should be able to just control this. So I think I'm going to bring this in, not too big. I'm going to go about, I'm going to move that over a little bit more. Okay, about 3/16, and then enter. Okay, so now I have radius that entire bottom. So this is just a basic building sequence. Quite often we have push-ups or a punt, they call it, where we push up the material in the bottom to get structural integrity and then so it won't slip. So there's a couple of details. I'm not going to show all that. This is just a basic aesthetic approach. So again, this is for creating profiles. I think I have another little detail here I added, just where the closure might be. So all I did was put a cylinder at the top and it's not even really in position. You can see it's just sort of sitting on top. So that would represent the cap. And what I would do is take a cylinder like this and push it down in there and union it to the bottle. And that would be my finish. The finish is the thread pattern, the protrusion at the top of the bottle that a cap gets closed to. So that could be detailed in several ways. It could be a regular continuous thread pattern, or it could be a cam lock. So we could have like an oval finish. That depends on your design. The emphasis here is I wanted to show how we could do a unique profile on a bottle and do a ruled surface front and back, and then we can loft front to back. So this allows us to do a lot of design variations that are very useful in production.